Welcome to the Monday Monologue. And you may be going, what has this got to do with the Monday Monologue? Well, it really doesn't have anything to do with it. It just happens to be what's on the bench right now. And after my struggles with that 6C33C amp, I decided to work on something that was a little less mind-numbing and try to just get back to enjoying working on audio gear. And this is a deck a friend of mine gave to me, or whatever. It ended up in my possession, and got a belt for it. Gonna try to fix it up and see if I can make this thing work again, which is, to me, fun stuff. And guess that gets to the point of this Monday Monologue. It's like, what is Cookie Designs? And one of the things it's not is a repair shop. I don't normally just repair audio gear. I don't know anything about this deck. It's going to take way more time or hours that I could charge somebody for actually repairing something like this. And I'm sure there's shops out there that have worked on this kind of stuff and know it like the back of their hand. They can knock it out and give you a great deal on repairing it. That's not what I do. And I get a lot of people emailing me saying, hey, I've got an R8 or I've got an XYZ. I want you to do your skunky mods to it and mail it back to me. And it's like, no, I don't do that. That's not a, quote, service that I provide. I did the original one for a viewer, and then that's kind of it. I move on to something else. And I have done some kind of upgrade stuff. I worked on a guy's ST70 for him. Got another customer that's sending me one, and that's kind of a case-by-case basis on whether I even want to mess with it or not, and if I have the time or if I just feel like it, because I'm doing this for fun. I'm retired. This is a hobby. And I think a lot of people get confused thinking that I'm an expert, and like even Dolly sometimes gets confused about what I'm doing. So that's to be understood. But again, not an electrical engineer. I didn't go to college or really have any kind of professional training on this. This is just a hobby, and I've self-taught myself what I know about this. And a lot of what I do is trying to learn more about tube amplifiers and how all this stuff works by experimentation and trying different things, which I'm a learn by trying or learn by doing kind of a person. I've read a lot of books and stuff, but sometimes things don't really sink in for me until I've actually experimented with it and can see the results of the experimentation. And I guess the other thing, I got a lot of negative comments directed at me over that 6C33 amp by being honest with you guys, which was kind of shocking because I thought that video, I was very clear that it's like, hey, this amp's kicking my butt. I don't know why this thing's behaving the way it is, and I need to take a little break from it, but I'm going to try to figure out what's going on. And I got all these, you're a moron. I've been doing stuff like this for 60 years. That's a simple problem. Of course, they don't give a solution. And then other people are just randomly throwing solutions out, which is discounting even what I'm talking about or what I'm thinking may be wrong. And to me, when you're working through a problem with an electronics project, if you don't have some basis in theory or some thought process on why you think this is happening, right or wrong, all you're doing then is just throwing parts at something and hoping something fixes it. And maybe it was a mistake for me to, in front of doing the testing, saying what my thoughts were on why this thing's not behaving well. And maybe I should have waited until I completely fixed the problem and then gone backwards and done fake videos about I knew what was wrong with it all along and acted like, some of these guys I see online that, I never make mistakes. I'm perfect and you should bow down to me. And that's just not who I am. And it did feel a little personal. And I know people say, let it roll off your back, but I was just trying to be honest about, like, hey, here's where this project is. I know some of you people have wanted to really see this. This is why it hasn't moved forward, and this is why I'm taking a break. But here's just some ideas I have about what may be going on. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm just, right or wrong, that's just kind of how I see this channel going, is I'm a hobbyist. I do this because I think it's fun. Like fixing this tape deck this afternoon. There's a lot of people that would go watch, a football game or baseball game, whatever's on TV, some kind of sports thing this afternoon, or, sit around and binge watch YouTube or something, but which sometimes I do too, or binge watch Netflix. And today, I think it's going to be fun to work on this tape deck and see if I can fix it. And I think I know what's wrong with it. I know it's got a broken belt. I think the switches all need to be deoxed and cleaned out. Need to clean the rat poop out with some of this and blow it out. Make sure that everything looks like it's connecting and, that sort of thing. And see if it works. And you know what? It might not. But it was still fun trying to fix it. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way I do, that it's fun trying to do stuff like this. And no, I don't need to know that, this button here will activate some transistor that goes to some, printed circuit IC chip that has logic in it that then does some other thing and activates a relay that I don't need to know all of that to have fun fixing this. And so that's kind of another side of this is, I think that somebody who's a professional repair person can look at the service manual and follow through all of that circuitry and everything and easily understand it because that's what they've been doing for a living. But that's not what I am. Now, I used to be in the car repair business, and when it comes to cars, I absolutely understand exactly what's going on and can diagnose it as a professional, but that's not what we're doing on this channel. And that wasn't a hobby, that was a job. And I don't want this to turn into a job. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing on this channel. And if you're looking for a channel with like a professional repair person who was classically trained in electronics and can perfectly diagnose everything without having to even think things through, you're watching the wrong channel. And go ahead and unsub and stop watching my videos because that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is having fun with electronics. And I hope you can respect that, and I hope that some of you are watching because of that I am just a average person that has sort of figured out how this stuff all interrelates and is having fun playing with different stuff. And I guess the other thing, somebody made a comment about, I see all these people that take a known schematic and then they change everything around and then bitch and moan that it didn't work when they should just be following the cookie cutter schematic and just building it like it's shown. And I don't think you guys are watching this channel to watch me do that. And I think that would be pretty boring if I just got like this bog standard circuit and DIY built an amp about it and then said, wow, look what I did. It's like, that's not hard. What's hard is when you try to think outside the box and do things a little different. And back to that 6C33C, some of the things I changed, I did for a reason, to try to avoid some of the negative comments that people make about those amps and see if there's a way to use that tube to have it work differently in the circuit. And I'm starting to figure out that that wasn't a good idea, but how do you know that if you don't try it? And so, yeah. Anyway, that's kind of my rant for this week, and wanted to just clarify what my YouTube channel is and what I'm doing. And have been having fun with these reel-to-reel decks. I will say, after listening to a 15 IPS half-track deck, I'm not sure that these 4-track decks are ever going to sound the same. They sound so good at 15 IPS on a half-track. And there's a reason why these modern re-releases of stuff are being released on that format, because if you want something better than vinyl, that's what it is. And a 4-track deck isn't, to me, going to sound better than vinyl. It might be kind of a parallel thing. It has a little different sound. You know, it's got that tape saturation kind of interesting tone to it. But, yeah, that little Tascam 22-2 really opened my eyes up. And I am excited. They finally finished my MRL calibration tapes that I could use on my Tascam 32, which is the big 10.5-inch reel half-track deck. And then I can start working on using like this voltage meter and some other stuff that I've accumulated to work on that deck. And we're going to do a video series on aligning a pro tape deck. And I know this reel-to-reel stuff doesn't get a lot of views. And that goes back to my other thing is, I'm not doing this channel to try to make a bunch of money on YouTube or to get like chasing views or whatever. If I was doing that, I wouldn't do any tube gear. I wouldn't do any reel-to-reel stuff. I might do a little bit of phono stuff, but I would mostly be doing the chip amps, doing like how can we get into audio cheap, and like reviewing speakers and reviewing DACs and doing that whole thing, because that stuff gets way more views than the content that I create doing kind of this obscure audio stuff. But I'm going to get back to doing what I think is fun. And I am excited about doing that little 6P1 rebuild. And we are going to do that based off of a known schematic. I'm not going to venture off and do anything different. We're just going to put that schematic into that box for kind of a new DIYer way of getting into tube audio, or at least building amplifiers. Because I know that a lot of folks are intimidated by the metalworking, and I'm thinking I may need to do another video series just on metalworking to get you guys more comfortable with doing that stuff, because it's really not that hard. And if you start off with a little cheap project like that little headphone adapter box, which I'll put the link below to the video series on that. That's a really simple little project. If you screw it up, the little box is like $12. And so if you have to go buy another one, it's not the end of the world. It's not like messing up a $50 chassis. And so that's a good project to start out with on fab work. It's all just laying out and drilling holes. And finishing something like that would be a confidence builder to doing bigger projects. So, and for the music for the week, I've really been getting into this mono vinyl that I've gotten off Acoustic Sounds. I think that's the name of it. Put the link below too. Place that sells vinyl, and the people that are making this stuff, let me see what this label is. I have to look again. It's Analog Productions, and they're re-releasing these Prestige label albums. And this is the first one for the week. It's number 7105. hi-fi LP that's in mono of early John Coltrane. And this is so fun. It's just a really great album. And there's something about this mono that I'm starting to wonder if there isn't more fidelity in a mono vinyl pressing than there is in a stereo. That the whole simplicity that you're only picking up like one channel, you're like half the data, and the needle just going side to side instead of trying to pick up this diagonal kind of thing that stereo's doing. It's just got a richness to it that I'm really enjoying listening to. So, this is a great one. The next one up is the Youngbloods. And again, this is Prestige 7080. Same companies making these re-releases. And this is another really fun album to listen to. And I'm sure you can get it on streaming too. But if you're a vinyl head like me, get this little AT33 mono cartridge and give some of these mono pressings a try. And I'd love to hear you guys that haven't listened to some of this mono stuff, what your thoughts are in the comments about mono versus stereo. I mean, it's got, I don't know if it's got, you could say, the width of the sound stage, but the whole depth and the instrument placement and all of that is still there. And it just sounds fantastic. Then the last one, and this is on a Verve label, is Ella Fitzgerald singing the Cole Porter Songbook. And I think it's a lot of show tune kind of thing. It's got a big band kind of playing along with her. I believe this was all recorded in the mid to late 1950s. It's another mono recording, and just her voice is just mind-blowing. And these are recorded so well that you can't not enjoy something like this. So, those are my music selections for the week, and hope you guys enjoy my channel. I know it's kind of a different thing, maybe not for everybody. Obviously, like I said, if you're looking for someone that's a professional repair person showing you how to do professional repairs, or somebody that spent a lifetime designing amplifiers and they went to college on electrical engineering and all of that stuff, this probably isn't the channel you want to watch. I'm a hobbyist that has picked this up later in life, self-taught, and I'm just having fun with it. And I hope you're having fun too. So I want to thank all you Patreon supporters. You really are appreciated. Thanks to you folks that have joined my little membership thing down here. You get early access to videos. There's no real gated content. I'm sticking to that. I don't think that's a good thing. I really struggle with people that gate content, and I don't want to do that. I know some folks just don't have the income or disposable income to like pay for content, and I still want you guys to enjoy it too. So there's that. And I appreciate all you folks too that make direct donations to my website. That helps me afford to start new projects, to fix projects that I've made mistakes on, and keep them moving forward. And that way you can learn from my mistakes on how to do tube hi-fi on a budget. And we'll see you next week for the Monday Monologue.